Okay, so just decided what the hell, need to go live really quickly. So I'm getting ready to leave here in a few minutes and I'm gonna go out to the museum with some friends. But I haven't shown up in a while and I wanted to give an update because people have been asking me questions and DMing me either here or on Facebook, TikTok, and etc. So question time. Why not so many videos been happening lately? So, well, I've been traveling. I've had my daughter this whole month, and we've been going back and forth between my hometown of McAllen and South Padre Island and back to San Antonio, et cetera, et cetera. So most of my time has been devoted to her. And also, we went on a father daughter weekend. And just so you hear a little bit more detail, we went to a facilitated weekend called Father Daughter Texas. So if you want to talk to me about that and get information about the next one and other activities such as the same thing, let me know. Also, been working on the divorce app. Still not liking the platform that it's on, so I'm looking for another platform to move all the material to that I think will be better for me and for everybody else and for you. Also working on the trauma releasing emotional trauma course that'll be done and launching July 1st. So again, let me know if you want some information. Also been really writing some material specifically about scripting. Script writing is a purpose to manifest. So that's coming out very, very shortly. I'm really thinking about doing a 6-week challenge specifically on this. Uh, and I have an exciting twist that's different than a normal 6-week challenge that you see out there. So stay tuned. Now, I want to talk really quickly about divorce groups, support groups. That's kind of where I'm on the high horse today. Now, if you're a client of mine, then you've already heard this before and you've already experienced it and you've already experienced the benefit of taking action on this information. So here we go. I have probably been kicked out of every single divorce group that I'm a part of, all these private groups. And here is the sequence of events, right? And here's why I want to say it's not just divorce support groups, it is any support group, I'm going to say in Facebook specifically for now, where it's designed around an issue. So I have more experience with the divorce scripts. So that's why I'm bringing this context to divorce. So here's an example of what I've seen happen literally. I've documented, I've done screenshots, I've tracked it. I've talked to admins in these divorce groups and nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares. No one cares that the problem is getting worse. I show these things to therapists and they're like, wow, no wonder my client XYZ can't get moving forward because they're assuming that when their client is in a support group, that it's in a positive, facilitated support group. But no, when I show these things to, I've talked to 3 different therapists over the last couple of months, and they're just appalled and wish they could shut down all these Facebook support groups because they're causing more toxicity, more damage, probably contributing to suicide in a huge way. So here's an example, and I got to run because I got to get going with the day. So here's what typically happens. A new member comes into a, let's say, divorce group the day that they're triggered, the day that they're at their worst, they're most angry, or they're the most desperate, they're in their highest crisis. They come into a group and say, thanks for the ad, sorry for the rant. And they go through like a book full of profanity, full of accusations, full of a lot of judgments they're throwing around at the woman or the man in their life that they're having this challenge with. And then 95% of the comments that follow after this person says, I need a vent, I'm looking for support, thank you so much. Blah. People won't even comment on what that person is commenting on. They will hear and see what they have conditioned themselves based on their reality and their views and their belief system. And they will respond with, you're absolutely right. Oh, I'm so sorry for you. You know, you're doing the right thing, guy or girl, because in my story, and then they will spend more time talking about their problem and their issue as a way to validate why this person should listen to them. Wait a minute. If I'm going to give you advice and not even reference your story and your situation and only talk about mine, then how is that really supportive times 100 people in a group? So here's what happens. This person gets that advice. Like, oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I feel so great. Then they feel empowered. Then they go out in the world and they take action based on the influence they've had from 50 to 100 people who are only pushing negativity and only pushing their negative story, only pushing from their ego. And that's their frame of reference the entire time. Here's what happens. This person makes a decision, ends a relationship, goes through a divorce in a very ugly way. Well, now this person is building trust in the group. So when they start dating again, what do you think they do? They come to the group with all of their questions. They get support and they say something like, oh, wow, met my person, the love of my life. Oh, I'm so glad, so happy. They're in that love phase, that honeymoon phase. And then because I follow these people in these groups, very shortly after, a couple of weeks, maybe 2 or 3 months later, this person now goes back to the group talking about all the problems that they're having with this new person in their life, in their relationship. They get a lot of support from them. And whatever the fear is that this person brings to the table, cheating, infidelity, lying, money issues, whatever they dealt with in their previous relationship that they didn't actually deal with, that they manipulated the situation, embellished the story, i.e., which equals lied about what happened and just promotes as the truth, now can't make a damn decision without the group supporting. So eventually what happens is they take their advice and they come back and say something like, oh my God, this person is exactly like my ex-wife. This person is exactly like my ex-husband. Now, every single client I have in the divorce space does exactly the same thing. And then they come to me and we talk about it and we unravel that bullshit. So what's happening is people are getting exactly what they're thinking about, and what they're telling that story about is coming right back to them. And then they are reaffirming their problem to the mob, which gets them more negativity, more unsupportive support. Yeah. So support groups on Facebook as a whole, I'm going to make a generalization. They say 95% of them, the ones that are not being run by an actual coach, I'm going to go ahead and say that. The ones who are not being run by someone that's trying to make money by serving that community, if it's a couple of admins, if it's somebody who had an experience, these divorce groups are not safe. They're not. Every client that I work with, I get to leave the public slash private divorce groups. Their life immediately gets better because they're no longer telling that old story to thousands of people. They're no longer responding to comments about their story, getting feedback, again, keeping it active, keeping it alive, now getting more and more nuance. So their visualization of their nightmare becomes like a photograph with more and more and more and more detail, to where the semblance of the truth when the real problem happened becomes like 10%. It's already been proven with neuroscience for years. So this is not new. This is not new stuff. If you are in an elevated state of survival, anger, fear, sadness, to tell the story months or years later, and you hook somebody up to a brain, to a scanner, it's not the same story. It's just not. So stop telling the story is how I'm going to wrap this up. Stop telling that old story. If you work with me, you've heard this before. Venting is beneficial if I am hiding in a corner I'm not talking to anybody about anything. If I'm really down at the depth of despair level and I have not talked about it at all, not I vented and I keep going there, so I want to keep venting more. No, now that's part of the addiction. I'm saying if you have not expressed these emotions, feelings, said, I need help, I'm desperate, I'm broken, uh, once or twice to a trusted support system that is safe, yes, you got to do that. That's part of the stages of awakening. You guys go from here to here, right? That's going from the mundane, stepping into the crisis and trying to go up the ladder of emotions. That's part of the momentum. So honor that feeling, honor that vibration. You got to do it. But after that, shut up. Shut up. Therapists are leaving the industry to become coaches. Why? Because the science is out there, the model is broken. Getting you to talk about your problems in therapy over and over and over again is actually creating more problem. It's simple science. It's cause and effect. Whatever you pay attention to gets more energy given to it. So tell the story as general as possible. Be safe with it. Then stop repeating the story. Because every time you do that, every time you're a hairdresser telling the story to every single client in your chair, that's how many times you're putting that prayer, literally praying that to keep happening. So find a different prayer. Tell the story of how things are working out for you. Tell the story about how excited you are for the little changes you're making because they're actually huge. Stop trying to change the world around you by telling the old story. All you're going to get is more of the same or worse. So let's cut it there. Stop telling the same old story. Write a new one. And the definition of hustle changes to write a new story every single day. And again, and again, and again. I got to go. We'll see you next time. Cheers.